Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But before we get into that, I got to give a big shout out to David Hatch. He's been supporting us on Patreon pretty much since day one of PCP on Patreon. David, I really do appreciate it. I know that we jest a lot, make fun of your D&D nerdiness, we steal your lunch money, stuff like that. But really, seriously, thank you so much. You are the best. You can join him in his support at patreon.com/PCP. Now on to the weekly comic book review, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Undiscovered Country, #1. I read this book and I actually liked it, even though I was very confused because I thought this was going to be like a Star Trek book. That's a bad joke. Anyway, Undiscovered Country by Scott Snyder, Charles Soule. It's got artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli and Daniele Orlandini, and Matt Wilson on the coloring. Basic story of this is that at a certain point in the near future, the United States of America just walls up and just completely cuts out the rest of the world, and they just keep to themselves, right? Now, years later, the rest of the world's kind of in a bad situation, right? Then they get this mysterious signal from inside the United States saying, come and see us, we want to start a dialogue again, right? So a team of scientists and political people and all kinds of stuff, they get together and they go visit the United States, and what they find is much more than they were anticipating. I liked it. It's very imaginative. It gives a lot of information very quickly, very efficiently. It's got a very brisk pace to it. It's got great relatable characters, and the artwork is absolutely exceptional. I loved it. I love the textured colors. In particular, great composition and layouts. Snyder and Soule have been working on this one for a while, since they met not too long ago while they were working on Swamp Thing at separate times. But Undiscovered Country is a very solid start, a very solid concept. Two veteran writers, veteran artists, and just a very well done first issue comic. Undiscovered Country #1 from Image Comics, my pick of the week for this week. Also already been sold to like make a movie or a TV show or something out of it. So get on board now so you can know what's going to happen, I guess, you know, something like that. Anyway, let's jump over to Marvel. X-Force #1, The Dawn of X continues to roll right on through. X-Force #1's written by Benjamin Percy with artwork by Joshua Cassara and Dean White. I loved this issue. I thought it was great. So far, Dawn of X has been pretty nifty, liking the Hickman stuff over at X-Men, really liking Marauders. Excalibur for me was just okay, but we got two fantastic debut X titles out this week, X-Force being the first of them. So this is going to be kind of like the intelligence division of Krakoa, right? So not everybody's going to be on board with the Mutants' plan to have their own island nation state of Krakoa. Not everybody's going to be down for that. So they're going to have systems that will warn them when people are trying to maybe invade or attack or just working against them politically or, you know, in actuality, like, you know, using weapons and stuff like that. That's what this book is going to be about. It's got a great cast of characters. You got Jean Grey, you got Beast, you got Colossus, you got Wolverine, Domino. One of my favorite spotlights in here, though, Sage is pretty nifty. Quinn Quire's on the cover, but not in the actual issue. But Black Tom Cassidy, really cool what his role on Krakoa is. Really like it. Let's talk about this artwork real quick, though, because Joshua Cassara's artwork is amazing. It is so freaking good. And the coloring, I'm pretty sure that's Dean White doing the coloring there. Yeah, Dean White's colors are amazing. They really provide an extra level and layer of texture to the artwork. The artwork is phenomenal. The way the story is paced out, I absolutely loved it. Benjamin Percy gets these characters, and he's already in the first issue raised the stakes up so incredibly high. Cannot wait to see what's coming. X-Force #1, very solid debut for Dawn of X. We also have New Mutants #1 out this week. This was written by Ed Brisson and co-written by Jonathan Hickman. It's got Rod Reis on the artwork. The artwork's really solid. If you like Rod Reis's work, you're really going to like it. It's ethereal. It kind of harkens back a little bit to some of those Bill Sienkiewicz pages from New Mutants from back in the day. I think old school fans are going to like it. I think new school fans are going to like it too. It's not just just the New Mutants team from the 80s. They got a few other mutants that we knew and loved in the 90s as well, like Mondo, Chamber, and such like that. Anyway, really did like this. The basic gist of this one is that Sunspot and company decide that they need Sammy if they're going to get the crew back together. Now that things are happy for mutants over in Krakoa, let's get Sam. Let's get Cannonball, right? Well, Cannonball's off in the Shi'ar, so they hitch a ride with Corsair and the Starjammers to the Shi'ar Empire, and it just kind of explodes out from there. Really fun, tongue-in-cheek at times, doesn't take itself too seriously. The characters are really fun. Their relationships, their character dynamics, the way they work together is really just perfection right here. Ed Brisson, Jonathan Hickman doing a great job, great artwork. I really liked it. I thought it was super solid. So you got 2 super solid Dawn of X #1s out this week. Also from Marvel, another #1, we have Yondu #1. This is Yondu. It's the first part of a 5-issue series written by Lonnie Nadler and Zach Thompson with artwork by John McCrea. So it's cool to see John McCrea on the artwork. It's gritty, it's savage, it's exactly what you would expect from a Yondu book that's really focusing in on the MCU version of Yondu. I really like it. I really like how it's tied in with some of the past continuity. I like how they handled that one. Ultimately, for me, though, this is kind of a character where I'm like, you know, I love Yondu in the movie, but I've never really been that sold on him in the comic books, especially the MCU-ified version of it. But this was interesting, and it kind of makes sense. But it was a good take on the character. But the artwork by John McCrea was really cool, and I liked seeing that. I liked seeing more of the seedy underworld side of the Marvel cosmic world, right? Worlds, you should say. Yondu #1 out this week. It's going to be 5 issues long. Absolute Carnage Weapon Plus. This is a one-shot. It's not supremely important tie-in to Absolute Carnage, but more on this ongoing mystery of what's going on with Weapon Plus. They did that Weapon Plus Captain America thing, so it seems like it's going to be a series of one-shots. It's going to reveal a lot of stuff, and there's like a tease for the next one at the end of this book that's really intriguing to me, and I thought was really cool. But this focuses in on the idea of Weapon 5, that they use something like the Venom symbiote to try to do one of their super soldiers in the Weapon Plus program. So that's what it's about. It does have a tie-in to the very, very beginnings of Absolute Carnage, but it's not completely necessary. This is more for people following that Weapon Plus story. Other than that, it's an okay issue. It's okay. It kind of retreads some ground that we kind of already knew, but if you haven't been reading Venom, then you definitely don't know a lot of the stuff that's being revealed in this book, and it's cool to see how it all takes place together. And like I said, at the end here, they spotlight something, the next one-shot Weapon Plus special, and it's, man, I'm pretty sold on that one already. Anyway, Absolute Carnage Weapon Plus #1, it's aight. Really like that cover, though. That's fantastic. Spider-Man and Venom, Double Trouble. So this is not in continuity. It's nothing to be taken seriously or nothing. It's kind of like an all-ages, really silly, cartoony, very amusing take on Venom and Spider-Man being roommates for a time, and Venom being a bad roommate. It's really cool. I really liked it, actually. Mariko Tamaki on the writing, Guri Hairu on the art. I really like it. Like I said, it's very cartoony. It's definitely like an animated series, but it's really fun. It's very lighthearted, but it's really interesting. Like I said, Spider-Man and Venom are roommates, and Venom, of course, is just the worst. It's just really fun, and it was very endearing and charming. So that's out this week. I think that's appropriate for most all ages. The Amazing Spider-Man #33 is here, kicking off the 2099 storyline going on. Nick Spencer's been building up to it. Not a lot of what's going on in this issue, but it might be there, but just not quite all out in the open yet. But I am excited to see this 2099 thing kind of come back out, because I've always liked Miguel O'Hara. I love Doom 2099. It's going to be cool to see these characters. It's going to be cool to have these little one-shots, whatever, Conan 2099, Fantastic Four, Venom, Ghost Rider, stuff like that. So I'm excited for it, just to see, you know, the 2099 characters pop back in. This is an alright issue of Spider-Man, though. Pretty cool. Patrick Gleason is kind of coming into his own as the Spider-Man artist. I don't think his work here is as solid as his work recently has been on Superman, for instance, but it is pretty cool, and it gets the job done. The story is interesting. Lots of Silver Sable developments in here. And like I said, it feels like it is kind of slowly building up into this 2099 stuff. I think this is supposed to be the first official part, but we do have the Alpha one-shot coming up. That's probably where it's really gonna kick into gear. Miles Morales Spider-Man, speaking of Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man #12 is here. Real fun issue, Prowler versus Miles Morales. Saladin Ahmed has done a great job with this book. The artwork is absolutely amazing by Javier Garron. David Curiel on the coloring, really vibrant and buoyant when it needs to be. I'm really liking this one. I really like how Brooklyn is spotlighted as a character. I really think Ahmed and company are doing a great job with Miles Morales right now. Issue number 12 out this week. The Immortal Hulk returns this week with issue number 26, kicking off the next story, the next phase of this really crazy horror superhero comic book that Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, and company have been putting together. Really liking this issue. Bruce Banner has a very bold new vision for the world, for society. That gets unveiled a little bit in here, and lots of interesting connections to the other Hulks and how they tie into Bruce's psychology and stuff like that. Joe Bennett, once again, putting out some of the best artwork of his career. A nice conversation between Banner and Amadeus Cho. I think that's been deservedly coming. But Immortal Hulk continues to be really great because the way it balances comic book horror, comic book superheroes, themes of like the Jungian shadow, and just the way it balances all these different facets. Like, you can read Hulk just as an entertaining smash 'em up superhero book, or you can read this into many levels deeper. And that's one of the most astounding things about Immortal Hulk and why it's proven so resilient in its staying power and its hypeness. The Immortal Hulk number 26 is out. Also, those Alex Ross covers don't hurt. Daredevil number 13 is here. Chip Zdarsky's been doing a great job with this title. I do believe it took a little bit of a dip in the second arc. Not that it was bad, but it wasn't as solid as the first arc. This third arc, though, has been really solid. It doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt, I should say, that we have Marco Cicchetto back on the artwork, Nolan Woodard on the coloring. It really, really works. Daredevil's kind of trying to come to terms once again, with his place as a hero, with who he is, his mission, what he's supposed to do. He's kind of being retrained by Elektra. But what's really interesting and outstanding about this issue in particular is Zdarsky's character work with the Kingpin. Maybe things that we've seen before, especially in Vincent D'Onofrio's performance as the Kingpin, but you see shades of that. You see nuances of that coming in here, really chilling, very striking, very honest look at Wilson Fisk, and that's what's so exceptional about Daredevil number 13 in particular. Ghost Rider number 2 is here, so Ed Brisson's got the reins of Ghost Rider right now. Johnny is the king of hell. It's kind of messing with his mind. He's up on the surface. It just appears like he's just killing people, taking out. Maybe he's got a little bit more going on, whatever. Danny Ketch, enter him, the 90s Ghost Rider, so ultimately they're going to have to come to terms with this. That's what this book is about. Aaron Kuder's artwork is absolutely fantastic. The story for me, though, doesn't really quite grab me in. I thought issue number 1 was a decent way to recapitulate everything that's happened with Danny Ketch and catch everybody up and kind of set forth a new direction based on recent events in books like Doctor Strange Damnation and such. But this one just hasn't quite pulled me in or grabbed me. I think this needs to have I don't know, something's missing. Something's story-wise. It's not the art, because the artwork is fire in here. No pun intended. Anyway, Ghost Rider number 2 is out this week. Though if you're a super hardcore Ghost Rider fan, I think you're going to be excited just to have a Ghost Rider book back. Like I was when this book came back. Fantastic Four number 16 is here, continuing the point of origin story. I really think that Dan Slott's coming into his own as the Fantastic Four writer. I think he had a shaky start, but I really think it's kind of ironed out now, and this has been, to me, probably one of the strongest stories that he's done so far. It's an intriguing concept, some interesting character work that's going on right here. I am really liking this book right now. I think Fantastic Four is fun, it's adventurous, it's solid, and that's exactly what a Fantastic Four book should be. It's nothing that's going to change your life. It's not one of the greatest comic books ever done right now, but it is the world's greatest comic book magazine, I'll tell you that. Anyway, Fantastic Four number 16 is out this week. Speaking of Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom has his own solo title. Issue number 2 is out. I wasn't quite sold on issue number 1. Still not quite sold on issue number 2. It's got some interesting things in here, some things to me that don't quite add up or make sense either with the character of Victor or with the history of Victor. But I'll be honest, Doctor Doom's like one of my favorite characters in fiction, period. So I probably have a lot of attachment and a lot of preconceived notions of who Doctor Doom is and what you can exactly do with Victor. So maybe that's kind of bothering me a little bit. I don't know. The basic gist of this story is that Victor has been framed. Latveria has been framed, and so now Latveria is unstable, and Doom's like coming under the wrath of the world, and so that's interesting, and he's kind of fighting for his innocence, and that's okay. You know, well, whatever. Anyway, Doctor Doom number 2 just didn't quite sell me, which really, Christopher Cantwell's a really good writer, and this one's not resonating with me, but maybe I just have too close of an attachment to Doctor Doom. I don't know. That's just me. Let's jump over to DC. Legion of Superheroes #1 is here. Also, those Legion flight rings are out, so make sure you grab one from your shop. I was going to have one wearing it, but I left it out in the kitchen, so I don't have it here on hand. But anyway, they're out, so you might want to get them. Just like the old ones, just with the newly refined logo. Anyway, Brian Michael Bendis, Ryan Silk and Company, here on Legion of Superheroes. The artwork is amazing throughout this book. The composition, the page layouts, the flow of the artwork, everything, the coloring, everything about that is great. Story-wise, though, it's okay. I've never been the biggest Legion of Superheroes fan, and the way that Bendis kind of, it's just his Superman stuff's not really working for me, right? And the way that this is kind of tied into that, I don't know. I wasn't really looking forward to reading this one. I didn't like that Millennium series, but I read this one and it was pretty cool. I had moments of humor, it had moments of lightheartedness, and also moments of seriousness, and it did do a great job of explaining the world, for the most part, of the Legion of Superheroes. Jonathan Kent there, I love that character. So this issue wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it didn't quite still sell me. I definitely will check this out for a few issues. You know, a Bendis comic you can read in like 3 minutes, I mean, honestly, right? But anyway, Legion of Superheroes #1, to me, is just okay. If you're an old school fan, rejoice that they're back. Like I said, it's got some really great moments, but the Legion's just always been kind of unattainable. Like, interest in the Legion to me has almost seemed unattainable because there's so many characters, there's so much history, there's so much going on. Bendis does do a good job of spotlighting a few characters, but it also does kind of still feel probably overwhelming and confusing if you have like no understanding of who the Legion are. Anyway, beautiful artwork. Like I said, and it's got some moments where it shines through. Anyway, The Infected, King Shazam. So this is the start of a series of one-shots about the people who have been infected by the Batman Who Laughs. Now we know that Shazam has been infected. He's now the Shazam Who Laughs, or he dubbed himself King Shazam. So this is an interesting story. It's written by Sina Grace, and it's got great writing, and it's got decent artwork by Joe Bennett. Not quite up to snuff with his Immortal Hulk work, but definitely you can feel some of the vibes resonating from that work. The story itself is not supremely necessary, but it, you know, if you're a big Shazam fan, at least you got another Shazam book while you're waiting for Jeff Johns to finish his next script or whatever. But King Shazam #1 is kind of an unnecessary one-shot that doesn't really do too much to push that story further. We're going to get a whole lot more of that in the whole Hell Arisen stuff, I'm sure. But it is interesting. It's got some solid artwork. It's got a decent story to it, and it does end in a way that you're like, huh? So, you know, maybe something's going to happen someday, and you're like, when did that happen? Well, it happened here, but it's not supremely necessary, but it was still kind of cool. Year of the Villain rolling on through, including Justice League #35, and that's right, the acetate covers are here. So what exactly are they? People have been asking me. Was there like plasticky covers? They have one image on the outside, then behind it will be another image, so maybe you can reveal something, right? So like this one, for instance, you open it up and it's Perpetua. And what I really like about this one is they got that globe, and when you close it, the Doom sigil is right there. I don't know if you can quite see that. Anyway, this book is gearing up towards its inevitable end and conclusion, which is just setting off more craziness at the DC Universe. It's apparently leading into another crisis event. I love a crisis event, so I'm sold on that. I've been loving what Snyder and Tynion and company have been doing on the pages of Justice League since they started, since No Justice. I've loved everything about this direction and scope of this story since Metal, and I'm really geared up. This is another one of those issues where it just feels like it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and there's no hope, right? Francis Manapul on the artwork, that is super awesome and solid, but yet another solid issue of Justice League with issue #35, and the cool acetate cover is also on Batman this week with Batman #82. There's also 2 more this week. It's Deathstroke and Harley Quinn. I don't have those. This is my favorite one, though. That one's really sharp. The illusion there is really, really nice. Anyway, City of Bane, trucking on through. This is the ultimate confrontation between Bane and Batman. What we've been waiting for. This is a very well-done comic book. I liked it a lot. The artwork by Mikkel Hannen is fantastic. Tom King's script's pretty decent. He does really pace this stuff out way too much, though. City of Bane is not needing to be as long as it is. But at moments like this, I'm really happy. I like this issue, but they still haven't gotten to that Alfred stuff. Just dangling, just dangling, just dangling. That's the one thing that's really infuriating about Tom King's Batman is it's just so drawn out. Anyway, Batman number 82 is out this week. Green Lantern Black Stars number 1. This is the first part of a 3-issue miniseries that's set between Green Lantern Season 1 and Green Lantern Season 2. So if you've been reading Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp and Steve Olaf's Green Lantern, you definitely want to check this out. This is the next issue, basically. Liam Sharp taken off to get caught up for that Season 2 like we were talking about. So Green Lantern Black Stars, Hal is now a Black Star, and things have gotten really bad. This is great. If you've been loving what Grant Morrison's been doing on the book, it's weird, it's wild, it's cosmic, it feels very early Morrison, it feels very early 2000 AD type stuff, but it's really fun. I like it. Some crazy ideas, some funny gags and jokes there, but some really just serious darkness in Green Lantern's Black Stars. Number 1, really liked it, really loving it. Batman Universe number 5 is here. This is one of the Bendis DC books I'm loving. This book is amazing. I think this is so much fun. Nick Darrington, his artwork is absolutely fantastic. Dave Stewart on the coloring. It's a really fun, wild, wonky story, throwing Batman across time, across space, and it's been so much fun. This was originally serialized in those Walmart 100-page Batman specials, but it's nice to see it here in comic book format, collected 2 chapters at a time. Nick Darrington's artwork is worth every single penny, though. Batman Universe number 5 out this week. Young Justice number 10 is here. This is another one of those Bendis ones that I'm not quite digging. I do like pretty much everything else he's doing at DC right now, except for Superman, Event Leviathan, and Young Justice. Young Justice started off pretty decently strong. I think it was really wrapped up in the hype of Superboy coming back and Impulse coming back. But now Tim Drake is, Red Robin's now Drake. And the new costume, I'm not quite sold on it. I like seeing Robin in the typical Robin green and red, but whatever, we can change it. It promises you that Naomi is in this book, but that's not necessarily true. Young Justice, since their excursion out in Gym World, they've been flung through the multiverse. So lots of secrets about Jenny Hex in here, and that's a very interesting character. So this book did have bits of stuff that was really cool, especially some Darrington pages. But ultimately, this is wearing thin on me. I think Ben is making some poor decisions with Young Justice, but who knows? What do I know? Wonder Twins number 9 is here from Mark Russell and Stephen Byrne. I absolutely love this book. Issue number 9 was amazing. This has been such a fun book. Lots of explaining in this issue. Not super explaining. It's not a big exposition issue, but it does reveal a little bit about the world that the Wonder Twins are from. It's some interesting stuff and how it can tie in thematically to the story that Mark Russell is telling. I really do like this book. I think it's fun. It's a little lighthearted, but it's got some serious themes and meanings in it as well, but it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it kind of hits on all those different levels. Wonder Twins number 9 out this week. Probably, to me, the standout of Wonder Comics. Seriously, I think it's that, and then like Naomi. And Dial H is pretty good too. DC Young Animal is here with Doom Patrol Weight of the World's issue number 5. This is a crazy issue. This issue is fantastic. Yet another fantastic one-shot story from Doom Patrol that's written with artwork by Becky Cloonan. It's also co-written by Michael Conrad. Becky Cloonan doing the artwork on here, and it's a nice love letter to Doom Patrol, the characters, and to the stories and the creators of the past and the current days and even the future. Really like this. We know that Doom Patrol Weight of the World is wrapping up at issue number 7. I'm going to be sad to see it go, but I hope it comes back. If this issue has anything to say about it, it's definitely coming back. But ever since Gerard Way has relaunched Doom Patrol, this has been one of the strangest, most unique, most innovative and challenging comic books out there. Issue number 5 by Becky Cloonan and Company is fantastic. I love it. Old school Doom Patrol fans of almost any era, I think you're going to find something to really dig about this issue. Number 5 out this week. Let's jump over to Vault Comics Heist, or How to Steal a Planet. Number 1 is a brand new debut from Vault Comics, and it's exactly what the title would lead you to believe this book is about. This book is written by Paul Tobin, with artwork by Arjuna Susini, Vittorio Astoni on the coloring, Saidia Timifonte on the lettering. Probably butchered some names, sorry about that. But this was a really solid book. It's really fun. I liked it a lot. But it's exactly what you think it's going to be. It's this dude who wants to throw a heist, and the biggest heist ever is steal a planet called Heist, a planet of all the scum and wretchedness and villainy and vileness of the universe, right? And he wants to steal it. This has got some really cool, interesting ideas. It's got interesting, relatable characters that's instantly likable, but it's a nice world that's kind of fleshed out fans of things like Star Wars and Wasted Space, especially the darker, seedier side of Star Wars, I think you'll really like Heist or How to Steal a Planet. Vault Comics just breaking on through with great science fiction, fantasy, and now horror. This is a great sci-fi book that's got a nice irreverent, humorous tone to it. Heist or How to Steal a Planet #1 out this week. It also has a Hernandez Brothers tribute here to, what's that book called? Yeah, Love and Rockets. So a Love and Rockets vintage variant cover for you right there. And also from Vault this week, Wasted Space #11. I love Wasted Space. This book is so amazing. This issue, this is the debut of the 3rd story, and it is just, the book just keeps getting better and better. The characters, it's zany, it's wild, it's got the greatest opening act of a comic book I've read in years and years and years, if not ever. I love it. Hayden Sherman's detailed, complex, gritty, textured artwork with Jason Wordie's beautiful colors, Jim Campbell handling all of the Michael Morisi-ness he can in the lettering. And like I said, Michael Morisi just doing a fantastic job. I did an advanced review of this that dropped on the channel earlier today, actually, so check that out if you really want to see me just gush over how much I love Wasted Space #11. Almost pick of the week for me this week. This book is so good. If you haven't read it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Books 1 and 2 are available now. This is the start of book 3. It is worth your time. Don't waste your time. Get wasted and check out Wasted Space. Crone #1 is a new one from Dark Horse Comics. Think about this. It's like, what if Red Sonja grew up? She got older. She lives by herself, secluded on a mountain. And then in a time of dire need, the community comes back and they're like, we need you to save us yet again. And she goes, how can I do that? I'm some old crone. Right? That's exactly what this book is, but it does such a great job of telling this tale. Really great. Dennis Culver, Justin Greenwood, Brad Simpson, Pat Brosseau, an absolutely fantastic job. It's a great book if you're a fan of things like Red Sonja, Sword and Sorcery, comics and stuff like that. Like I said, it's like, what if Red Sonja grew up, retired? This is old woman Red Sonja, basically. Crone, #1 from Dark Horse Comics. I really liked it. Also from Dark Horse Comics, No One Left to Fight #5. This was such an explosive finale to what will hopefully be the first arc. And let me tell you this. This is the comic you've always wanted. And if you want it to come back, you got to let Dark Horse know right now. Just like I'm going to be shouting at them, because No One Left to Fight has been so fun, so exhilarating, so dynamic. The coloring and the artwork is just, it's just electric. It's just amazing. The writing is fun. This is like Dragon Ball Z on crack. This is like amped up to the next degree. This is so much fun, so intriguing, great characters, highly paced, dynamic, crazy fast action, beautiful, luscious colors that verge on the tip of psychedelia at times. This book is such an experience. It's amazing. I love it so much. No One Left to Fight #5. The end of the first arc, and we need a second arc like right now, because this is the comic book we've always wanted, and it's the comic book we're going to want to stay. So let Dark Horse and Company know No One Left to Fight needs to return, and it needs to do it soon. Berserker Unbound #4. This is the final issue of this series by Jeff Lemire and Mike Diodato Jr. This has been a fantastic book. Basically think Conan in the modern age, but not done to death like the way that Marvel's done it. And like, I don't know, it's okay, right? But this is done really good, and it's got some nice nuance to it too. In addition to just double splash pages of, this dude just hacking people's limbs and heads off, right? But then you got this really nuanced story about friendship and loss and tragedy, and it's just absolutely amazing. Berserker Unbound had no business being as good as it was, but it was. 4 issues, and it was so solid, it got the job done direct. I would also like more of that. Also from Dark Horse, Everything #3. This book is so surreal, so odd, so hard to put my finger on why I find it so fascinating, but I do. This book is crazy. It's weird. It's about this big, giant supermarket called Everything that shows up in this town, and then things get weird. And then things get weirder and weirder and weirder. No explanations, just weird atmosphere and mood, and just, this book is crazy. If you like things like Twin Peaks, if you love stuff like Ice Cream Man, check it out. It's written by Christopher Cantwell, I.N.J. Colbard on the artwork. Simple, creepy artwork, and just a really fascinating story, but I can't tell you why I find it so fascinating, but this is just damned weird. Damned weird. But it's really great. Really great. It really strikes this tone of unnervedness That's not a word. Anyway, Everything number 3 is out this week. From Boombox, BB Free, number 1. It's a new book. This one had beautiful artwork in it, but I just could not get wrapped up into the story. It was kind of like, I could recognize on some of the, pick up on some of the themes, but I just wasn't being pulled into the narrative. The story just never really grabbed me. It's about this woman, this young lady, who, when she hits 15, she wants to go off and she wants to like explore around something they do in their society or something like that. Like I said, it was really hard for me to just pick up on it. Like I said, I loved the artwork. I thought it was great, but the story just didn't really do anything for me. It kind of bummed me out because I really did like the artwork, and that cover is fire. Anyway, BB Free number 1 is out from Boombox this week. Also from Boom, Strange Skies Over East Berlin number 2 really keeps that momentum, that mystery, that tension from the first issue, and it really just keeps it going into issue number 2. Such a great job. Jeff Loveness, Lissandro Esterin, Patricio Del Peche. Probably butchered a couple of those names, if not all of them, so I'm sorry. But anyway, Strange Skies Over East Berlin is such a fantastic book, such a great idea. Historical context makes a lot of sense. The themes, the tones, this book gets really dark in the second issue and starts revealing some things, but posing more questions, and I really like that. This, like I said, the mystery, the tension, the suspense keeps getting built up. Strange Skies Over East Berlin, yet another hit from Boom Studios this week. Action Lab brings us Going to the Chapel number 3. We just had issue number 2 like a couple weeks ago. Anyway, Going to the Chapel is a fun book. I've talked about it a lot here on the channel. I think it's absolutely amazing. More people should read this book. David Papose, Gavin Guidry, Elizabeth Kramer, and Ariana Maher. Absolutely fantastic job. Nice, clean, concise artwork. A really fun story that's got great moments of action, great moments of humor, and great moments of real drama and shocks and surprises. Absolutely fantastic. Going to the Chapel, the penultimate issue. It's like Quentin Tarantino directing a romantic comedy in a way, a little bit Wedding Crashers meets Die Hard. Really fun book. You will love this book. This book is so amazing. Definitely check it out. Going to the Chapel, number 3 from Image Comics. We got the wrap-up of Book 1 of Coffin Bound from writer Dan Waters, artist Danny, colorist Brad Simpson, and Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. A fantastic creative team. This book has been challenging, weird, philosophical, deep, nuanced, ridiculous, grimy, gritty. When this book first came out, I described it like a grindhouse version of Sandman. I think that still holds true. Lots of explanations in this issue, but lots of setup for what's to come. Book 2 launches next summer. Get ready for it. Dan Waters of the White Noise Studio. Coffin Bound number 1. Some of the best art, some of the best lettering in comic books with one of the best writers. Coffin Bound number 4 really wraps up the first arc, like I said, but also does a great job of just launching it into what's coming next, and I cannot wait. This book makes me feel dirty when I read it. Coffin Bound number 4 out this week. Sonata number 6 is here, and this is the wrap-up of the first arc of Sonata. It promises to return, and I hope it does. I really like this book. It's been a nice, fun fantasy book about these two warring planets on this third planet, and then there's like this native tribe there, and then there's these mystery giant sleeping god type things, and that mystery gets awakened. I speak wrong sometimes. In this issue, issue number 6 was a great way to wrap up the first arc with really setting up what's to come. Sonata has been very imaginative, and I really like the artwork. It's like it uses like computers so obviously for like 3D backgrounds and stuff, but it doesn't take me out of the story. It's not jarring or anything like that. It's a really nice flow to it. Sonata number 6, grounded with really great characters and character dynamics, and a really cool concept in its take on these two warring societies, and the third one that's kind of stuck in the middle of time. And then, of course, the sleeping giants that are like, a whole thing on itself. Anyway, Sonata number 6 is out this week. Space Bandits is here with a giant-size issue number 5 to wrap up its first arc, because it does promise to come back possibly one day, and that's an interesting little thing that happens here. Mark Millar fans will definitely like the ending of this book, but this is a nice little fun wrap-up to the whole Thelma and Louise in space thing. Mark Millar, Matteo Scalera did a great job on this one. I don't typically make it all the way through much Miller work anymore, but I did with Space Bandits. Now, I love Scalera's artwork, and I've met him before, and he's a super cool cat. My homie Robbie from Earth 2 is a huge fan of his. So, Robbie, you're going to love it. It's great. And seriously, Millerheads, you're really going to like the end of this. I think you're going to be in for a shock. Anyway, Space Bandits number 5 out this week. Unearthed number 5 is here. Wow, Cullen Bunn, Kyle Strom, Valdemar Revis, and Crank. This book is weird, wild, and now you fully get and grasp what's going on in this book. And it's very Lovecraftian. It's very body horror. It's very effective. This book is great. It's weird. It's creepy. This has been one of the best horror comic books of the year, in a year of great horror comic books. Unearthed number 5. Like I said, lots of revelations. You get really understanding what's going on. This book is just wild. I love it. Unearthed out this week. Lock and Key returns with a one-shot this week called Dog Days. So if you're a Lock and Key fan, definitely check this out for sure, because you may be like tempted to skip it and be like, oh, it's not going to be anything. It's going to be the story of this dog, right? Well, it is the story of this dog, and it's a great story. That's a nice, fun story with the dog key. But there's a setup and a second story in here, a major setup that will make Lock and Key fans very happy. Do not sleep on this, Lock and Key fans. Check out Dog Days, the one-shot. That's right, Joe Hill, Gabriel Rodriguez, they're back with Lock and Key Dog Days. Wretches number 1 is a new one from Scout Comics. I read this one, and it's okay. At times, it gets a little, I don't know, this didn't quite grab me the whole time. It had moments where it was starting to, but then it kind of got just a little bit obvious, a little cliche, just a little bit, I don't know. It's a new one from Scout Comics, though. It's about these, like, scavenger, junker people, and, like, most of society now are, like, cybernetic people, and they go and they, like, you know, they scavenge those parts and stuff like that, but it felt like it was trying too hard to grab me, you know, and a book needs to try hard to grab me, but you don't need to make it seem like you're trying too hard. That's the way I felt about Wretches. It just wasn't for me. I don't know. Check it out and let me know what you think. From Source Point Press and Comics Experience, we have Gutter Magic number 2, written by Rich Duick, with artwork by Brett Barkley, colors by Jules Rivera, lettered by Nick Shaw. Really liking this book. So Gutter Magic is a 4-issue series that's been released before, but now Source Point Press has turned it into an ongoing series, so they're reprinting the first 4 before they continue the story. Well, I've never read it before, the recent re-release. I'm a big fan of Rich's work from Road of Bones, from Wailing Blade, so I definitely wanted to check this one out. It's really, really interesting. So it's kind of like a steampunk world. It's got magic, you know, and all that kind of stuff, but it's got a connection to our own history and some names that we're familiar with, and it's a very intriguing story with really interesting characters and at times charming characters. But Gutter Magic has been so much fun. I highly encourage you to check it out. If you like Rich's work on books like Road of Bones and Wailing Blade, you will definitely like Gutter Magic, and the artwork is solid. Really like it. If you like fantasy, if you like the kind of stuff on a more gritty, grounded type way, check out Gutter Magic. Really cool stuff. And finally, let's talk about this one. GWAR, the Enormogantic Fail. That's right, it's a GWAR graphic novel. I'm not super into GWAR or anything like that, so I probably would have just skipped right over it, but Liana Kangas is one of the artists on here, so that's super cool. So definitely had to check it out to check out Liana's work, so I'll read this too. But if you're a huge GWAR fan and just like weird, wild, crazy, heavy metal, punk rocky, nutso, you know, GWAR's its own thing, you know what I'm saying? But if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. But there, I wanted to point it out that it's here. If you're a fan of Liana's work, definitely check it out. GWAR, the Enormogantic Fail. There you go. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm interested in checking it out. Anyway, that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. What are you reading? What are you picking up? What are you excited about? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.